Okay. It's almost the end of the year, December 29th, and it's cold in this little downstairs office. This is, of course, this is California, so can't really complain, but it's a little chilly. So rather than blast the heat all over the house and get too hot, and it's you try to put on a few layers here. But anyway, every year I kind of get into this thing. I'm sure everybody does to an extent, depending on what your current endeavor is that year. If you have a little business or you just have personal things you might want to change, but setting a few goals. And I've kind of been through it in a couple of different ways. I used to look into real estate investing back in the day, maybe 30 years ago. I'd go to seminars, things like that, and I, dabbled in it a little bit. And they would be very specific when any of those type of people, gave you goals and what to do about real estate and things like that. It's very specific. You set very specific goals. You set numerous ones. You broke them down into individual tasks and then subtasks and all that stuff. And it was a little too much. To me, it was a little bit artificial. But maybe it worked for a lot of people. It probably did. If you stuck to it, because it would force you to do the things you really didn't want to do. And that's always been my problem. I do the things I want to do, and I ignore the things that are less pleasant. But if you're breaking your goals down into kind of sub compartments, then you have to do the first thing you have to do is often the thing you least want to do. And that's good. You get it out of the way. But I've been through that. Now I'm at the point where I'm more relaxed about the goals and I'm trying to be more realistic. And, I had a conversation a couple of days ago with a friend of mine, young guy, about 25 years old. He's a budding entrepreneur. He has a business, and it's based on the entertainment field. And he basically said this year he's setting a goal of six figures, is what he told somebody. He had a consultant. And I think he went on to say, what I really didn't want to tell him was my goal is actually seven figures, but I didn't want to, put it over the top and confuse him and, whatever, sound pompous. So his goal in his mind is $1 million, make $1 million this year. And so far, I don't think he's made much of anything because he's been building up his business, which is good. But I said to the guy, I said, gee, are you sure based on what you've done to this point, do you have things in place that really could make you forget $1 million, just how about 100,000? Do you have things in place that can make you 100,000? And of course, he's in the entertainment business, so you never know. One big break can change everything. And that's clear. You set yourself up for that one big break to happen. You do as many things as you can where that could happen. And the guy has talent, and et cetera. So that could happen, but it's really sort of nothing you can control beyond a point. So if you don't have little, set tasks and jobs and things like that, and clients and things like that in place, I'm not sure you want to set a goal of even 100,000. I told the guy, what about just try to make 30? Try to make 30,000 profit off of your business this year, and hopefully you can do that and exceed that, and that'll feel good. And to me, that makes sense because then you check it off. You fulfilled your goal, and you didn't make it unmanageable. And let's say by July you things are going well and you made 30 profit by July. Now you got 6 more months. Try to double that or triple that. That's good, but you hit your goal, and you feel good. You did what you set out to do. And he sort of looked at it the opposite, and I can understand it. Just he's got a different mentality, but he was looking at it like if he sets a goal of $1 million and he falls short, that's fine, because by having this really almost unattainable figure dangling in front of him, that'll motivate him to think bigger and go further. So whatever works for you is great. In my case with writing, bringing it back to writing now, for you authors out there, I'm trying to simplify it. And right now I have a goal of 4 books in 2019. That's it. and a short story a month, because I kind of got back into writing short stories and a little more literary. There's really no commercial appeal in short stories. You can send them around to literary magazines, things like that, and try for that. But basically, if you have a feel for something and you want to express yourself in terms of in a short story in that format, go ahead and do it. Don't worry about it. So I don't think that'll take up too much time. A story a month, just to have that going. But the 4 books a year is less than I set for myself last year. Last year I set a goal at 10 because I got caught up in the way the ebook people are, the successful ebook fiction genre writers are making money. And that's essentially the foundation is you write a book a month. You crank out a book a month. That fits into Amazon's algorithm, supposedly. It feeds your hungry readership. You try to write in a series. You try to keep it going. You don't let much time go by where people forget about you. And you just you keep cranking out the stories. It's like episodic TV. People get into it. They maybe 3 or 4 episodes. They're hooked. They want to find out what's going on. You just keep feeding that. A book a month. These are not great works of literature that are going to be studied in a class. And actually last year, I think I wrote about 7 or 8 novels. So I didn't quite make the goal, but I felt successful. Because I wrote a book a month during the months that I was writing, I wrote a book a month. And then I took some months off. But I did, when I set out to write a book, I pretty much completed it within 30 days. And I never thought I could do that consistently, but it's a little bit of a skill and a technique, actually. It's like anything. It's like learning to play guitar or something. You can do it. You actually can do it. It's not a major accomplishment like these people that try to do NaNoWriMo a month, and it's the biggest thing of their life trying to write a book in 30 days. And even if they get halfway there, or they sort of they're stumbling around, they feel great. What an accomplishment! Well, I did 25,000 words, which is no more than half a book, but they still feel great because it motivated them to do half a book. And they probably will never finish the rest of the book in most cases. So that's kind of misleading. If you just sit your rear end down in the chair, you can write a book a month. And it gets easier. It definitely gets, there's no doubt it gets easier. You work your way out of jams in your storyline much more easily, and you sort of have a sense before you even start, your fingers hit the keyboard on a certain day. You have a sense of what's going to work and what's not going to work, and you just get better at it. You improve at it. Crazy to say, but this year I'm just going to try for 4. It's a book every 3 months, and if I do better than that, that's great. But then I'll feel good because I know I can do 4. One way or the other, I can do 4 books, so I know I can reach the goal. So I guess what I'm getting to is my advice to writers is give yourself a manageable goal. Don't overdo it. And, another manageable part of it is marketing. I don't market. I can't stand marketing. So I'll probably never be wealthy as an Amazon ebook author, because that's what it takes. I mean, there's so many, I hate to say it, but there's so many just mediocre books out there, but where the author is a genius marketer and has incredible, relentless energy to do that. And I don't like marketing. I think, there's probably big players out there that are doing pretty well that then can pass off all the marketing. They don't like it either. They can pass it off to basically a person or even a kind of a company, pay them good money, and that company then does all the marketing for them. And then the writer can just focus on what they want to do, which is writing. And they get to a point where actually their time writing, their hourly time writing is worth more than it would be wasted on the marketing. Trying to come up with, keywords for your ads and all that kind of stuff. One other discouraging thing that came out, there's an author that I respect. His name is Russell Blake, and he's one of the veterans. He's been doing it for a long time. Formulaic Amazon ebooks, kind of thriller, maybe somewhat science fiction, I believe. I believe they're mostly thriller-based, action adventure kind of things. And series. He's probably got like 100 books out there. And he wrote a blog, if I remember it right, about a month ago, or maybe even less, kind of a year-end thing. A little bit discouraging for the average writer, saying that Amazon now is not really showing your books to a lot of people, a lot of readers. They've kind of changed their formula a little bit, unless you advertise with them. And the people that are really winning out are the big advertisers. You know, they might be spending like $20,000-$30,000 a month in advertising. So maybe they spend 20 or 30 a month, but they make 40 a month in book sales and you know, and reads and all that stuff. So it's turned into a crazy kind of big business. So the little person who doesn't advertise or just advertises a couple bucks a day, a little ad, you're not getting seen the way you were. They used to, if you wrote a similar type of book to some of the big people and your book got a little bit of play and got some action and, you know, some good reviews and it was looked at a lot, maybe did some good, you know, had some strong sales for a little period of time, that book then might show up on that person's page. Somebody's looking at the big author's page and your book shows up as similar viewed or also bought. The readers that looked at bought this book, the fancy guy's book, also bought your book, that kind of thing. So it gave you kind of a secondary, you know, boost. It gave you kind of free advertising. Now that's all dried up apparently. So that made me more determined not to market, because I don't want to go crazy wasting time marketing and where maybe it's not effective anyway. So I'm just going to try to write the 4 books, let the chips fall where they may, and just, you know, try to enjoy the satisfaction of, you know, the readers, you know, every so often, you know, hear from readers and they, you know, they appreciate it. And, they ask you, when's the next one? I gobble them up. I can't wait. I love the characters and all that stuff. So yeah, a few of those, you know, kind of make it go a long way in terms of motivation. So that's what I'm going to try to do this year. But forget me. Just in your case, my recommendation as a guy now in his 60s here, who's tried it different ways, you know, January 1st, making a whole list of things and trying to check off tasks and checklists and sub lists and all that stuff. Everybody's different. Everybody operates differently. But in my case, I've come to the conclusion, set some goals. That's always good. Jumpstart yourself the first of the year, but make them realistic. Make them very attainable. Don't go nuts with the goals and don't discourage yourself by the end of the year. You'd rather easily accomplish those goals and, you know, be, you know, chomping at the bit for more at the end of the year than come up way short. So that's all I can say. And the young guy that I referenced, he's got a whole different outlook, and hopefully that works for him. A lot of this stuff is just mental tricks. Whatever works for you. If you dangle, geez, I want to make $1 million this year. I only made 15,000 last year, but my goal next year is $1 million. But I haven't really done that much different. I don't have that much going on that's different than made me the 15,000. To me, that's just so unrealistic. I don't know why you would do that, but I can also understand you get into somebody else's mindset and they're looking at it differently. They say, geez, I think big. I think as big as I can. Then that'll, you know, and I come up short. I'm going to go further than I would have gone if I just set a mediocre goal. So, and some of the big real estate people, when I was doing it, they kind of had that thought. They said, if you're thinking anyway, so you might as well think big. In other words, why not, if you want to develop a little lot and build a little house on it, why not think about developing a bigger lot and putting a little, you know, strip mall shopping center on there? I mean, it's not so simple. There's a lot that goes into that kind of stuff that makes it unrealistic, but the thought is there. If you're thinking anyway, you might as well think big. But in my case, getting to be an older guy, got to keep it simple. So hopefully I can, you know, join you again in a year and successfully relay the fact that I did get the 4 novels written and the short story a month. So that's actually 12 stories. That's actually a pretty good year. 12 short stories and 4 novels. That'll do it for me for sure. Okay, and hope you have a happy and healthy New Year's, and you carry that through all through January and February, and we'll check in soon. Okay, take care.